Good morning, traders, and welcome to NewsWare's Trade Talk for Monday, December 29th. Okay, let's get into the action, and let's see what the S&Ps are doing. They're trading slightly lower, down about 0.3% this morning. We've been hanging off at the 0.2% all morning long on that level, so we're down a little bit more than that. A lot of geopolitical news in focus. This is the theme for today. I mean, over the weekend, President Trump met with Ukraine's President Zelensky as part of an effort to advance the resolution on the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Discussions came out of there. They're described as constructive, but progress remains limited. I mean, because Russia's got a reluctance to negotiate here. So nothing really came out of it. And that's causing a little bit of weakness in the markets this morning. Later today, President Trump, he's scheduled to meet with Israel's President Netanyahu. That could be something. In Asia overnight, China conducted military drills around Taiwan, which raises, regional geopolitical concerns, specifically with Japan. In corporate news, SoftBank is said to be close to a deal to acquire Digital Bridge. An announcement could happen later today. Nothing really on the earnings front today. But if we take a look at the European markets, they're flat. I mean, the DAX is now down 0.01. It was up. It was down. It's essentially flat on the day. The FTSE, on the other hand, is higher by 6 points. The CAC is higher by 13 points. We're seeing weakness in defense stocks. Auto stocks are trading a little higher. And the FTSE, we're seeing mining stocks and healthcare stocks showing some gains, so that's kind of positive. Turning our attention over to Asia, and we're looking at, some weakness, overall weakness. I mean, the Nikkei fell 223 points, 0.44%. The military drills that China conducted really created a little bit of nervousness. Hong Kong, the Hang Seng fell 183 points. That's 0.71%. It's the geopolitical concerns, geopolitical tensions. That's what's happening here. But in China actually rose 0.04%. The Minister of Finance said that fiscal policy will be more proactive next year with a focus on boosting domestic consumption. That's kind of positive. The market rebounded from that. So China actually finished in the green. And that's like the 9th straight session for China's Shanghai Composite to finish higher. So interesting. Then we're turning our attention over to oil. And oil is jumping this morning. Oil is moving. We got WTI at $58.04 a barrel. You got Brent at $61.94 a barrel. Both are up over 2%. There were no major developments that emerged from the weekend meeting with Ukraine's president. And, without any, weekend meeting, you're not going to see any, additional Russian oil coming onto the market. So, that's why you're seeing a little bit of that's part of the reason you're seeing oil tick higher this morning. But you also got to remember that Saudi Arabia launched airstrikes in Yemen over the weekend, and then you had some aggressive remarks from Iran's president. Now that's coming ahead of today's meeting between President Trump and President Netanyahu. So it's more like just the typical saber rattling that you hear out of Iran from time to time. Okay, moving on. We're looking at earnings. Nothing really to report. There's no real big earnings coming out today or tomorrow. But in terms of economic data, later today you get the international the data on international trade in goods. 10:30 a.m. The EIA oil stockpiles report is due out. That could be something. In terms of the markets, I'm looking at the Dow stocks. I'm seeing 18 higher, 12 lower. That's kind of positive. My FANG stocks are all weak, though. They're all trading lower this morning. So the S&Ps will be look like they're going to be heading in for some weakness this morning. In terms of news behind the tape, Amazon halts plans for drone delivery in Italy. I don't think that's huge. Google. Department of Justice is said to be preparing lawsuits citing fraud to companies that hold government contracts and have DEI initiatives. Verizon's also mentioned in this one. Tesla, China's land space, is gearing up to take on Elon Musk's and SpaceX. In terms of Dow Jones 30 stocks, we could talk about NVIDIA. Intel completed its $5 billion stock sale to NVIDIA. Disney DAS, their Avatar Fire and Ash, stayed at number one in the domestic box office over the weekend. Nice for Disney. Nice for Disney. Disney is, flat this morning. Not much else happening. Okay, let's move on to the pick of the day. And I'm going with Decker Outdoors, ticker DECK, David Edward Charlie Kilo. Retailers typically, are hot this time of year. You look at some of these retail stocks and they're running. And I think Decker's has some more room to go. You look at Friday's call volume, 3,580 calls versus 2,226 puts. Open interest, 70,000 versus 45,000. Major brokers still raising price targets on the stock, But for me, I want to get in 102.40, 102.50, somewhere in that range. But I do think you could be pushing higher later today, tomorrow morning. So that's my pick of the day. Decker Outdoors, ticker DECK, 102.45, I'm going to say. All right, let's move on to the stocks that are hidden, that are making stories this morning in the last 15 minutes or so. Lululemon's founder, Wilson, launches a proxy fight to change the board. That's Chip Wilson. Okay, interesting. Citibank adjusts its large cap recommendation list. They removed Micron. Walmart, their Sam's Club continues to carve out a wide sales lead in China. Novo Nordisk NBO said to be cutting prices for Wegovy in China. APVO, they're going to implement a 1-for-18 stock split. Costco's on watch. You remember, the Supreme Court could be making a decision on those IEEPA tariffs this week, so we want to keep an eye on shares of Costco, which had a nice day on Friday. CVX, Chevron trading higher by about 0.8% as oil spikes 2%. That's all I'm seeing this morning. It's light day. Okay, let's move on into Friday's pick of the day, which was Delta Airlines, ticker DAL, David Apple Larry. I mean, listen, the stock opened up at $70.83, fell to $70.41, and closed at $70.85. My entry point was $70.50. So it's not a winner, it's not a loser, just kind of a flat trade, which is kind of positive, all things considered. I mean, if you got in at 70.50, here the stock got closed at 70.83. I mean, that's positive, but it didn't beat the 1%. But I'll take it. I'll take it because at least it was in the green. All right, traders, that's it for today's version of NewsWare's Trade Talk podcast. You guys know what to do. Let's go out there and let's make some green.